Ever since Holly was a child, she was convinced that her great-aunt, Lillian, was a fairy, as she is always right when it comes to knowing which two people belong together and are perfect for each other. Lillian has been right about many couples in the past, who ended up getting married and living an amazing life later on. Recently, Lillian brought together Holly's brother, Spencer, and Holly's best friend, Angela, together, as she believed that both are the perfect match for each other. Spencer began to love Angela before she even knew him. Holly has always dreamt of her life partner and wonders who Lillian would approve for her. Holly has never found much luck and success in terms of boyfriends, as she ended up breaking up with every single one of her past boyfriends. Holly feels that she doesn't have time for relationships as she is busy running her family business. Spencer has proposed to Angela and they are looking forward to getting married around Christmas time. Holly also dreams of traveling around the world, something her family business and the lack of money have prevented her from doing so. Holly feels as if she's close to finding the right guy for herself. During a massive party, Holly is greeting several different guests, and Angela is getting nervous without Spencer. Spencer arrives with his friend, Chris, who has just been fired from his job, and Spencer hopes that Chris can clear his mind while enjoying the party at the same time. Spencer introduces Chris to Holly, and Holly is attracted to Chris on the very first sight. One of Holly's close relatives, Cheryl, tells Holly that this might be her lucky night when it comes to finding the perfect man. Holly goes outside to get some fresh air and has a conversation with Chris. Holly tells Chris that she enjoys Christmas, although Christmas feels incomplete without snow. When asked about parties and romance in general, Chris lets Holly know that topics related to romance and couples don't interest him much. Chris also rudely adds that he doesn't believe in Lillian's predictions about a couple being together, and how Holly thinks that's the only way to find love. Lillian appreciates what Holly has done for the preparation of Spencer and Angela's wedding, and informs that she might have found Holly's true life partner. Lillian holds Holly's hand and places it in the hand of Chris. Holly was excited at first, but when she finds out that Lillian thinks Chris is the right man for her, she labels it one of the most humiliating moments of her life. Chris seems to appear off by the act of Lillian, as he thinks no one has the right to enter his personal life. Chris has breakfast with Spencer, Holly, and their mother. The entire breakfast almost gets ruined for Holly when her mother asks Chris if he has someone waiting for him back home. Holly goes out with her family to pick out the right Christmas tree for them. While Holly is upset about what happened at the end of the party, Angela surprises her with the news that Holly would be the maid of honor at her wedding. Holly is overjoyed by this wonderful news, only to get upset again when she learns that Chris would be Spencer's best man at the wedding. All of them return home, and they find out that Chris has helped Holly's mother in preparing the dinner. Holly is upset as to why everyone in her family is beginning to involve in activities with Chris. Her mother says that Holly should get to know Chris more, as he is having a hard time getting over his termination from his past job. During the dinner, Chris tells everyone how he has a degree in marketing, and hopes to get hired by a big firm after the holidays. He further states that he isn't close with any of his family members, and doesn't enjoy Christmas or holidays as most other people do. Holly disagrees with Chris as she believes that holidays are a great time for a family to come together. Chris, in his defense, says that he finds Christmas to be overly commercialized, and that people spend much of their money on products that play with their emotions when the holidays are around. The next day, Holly helps Angela with her wedding dress, which was passed on to Angela for her mother. Angela wishes that she was able to buy a dress she found at the store but couldn't, because of it being over budget. Holly takes the entire group to the house where the marriage between Spencer and Angela would be finalized. Cheryl is over there as well, and she introduces Chris to some of her close friends. Her friends start to talk in a manner that presents Holly as the right girl for Chris, but Chris doesn't bother them. When Chris and Holly come under a mistletoe, both of them are encouraged to share a romantic moment. Holly advises him to just give her a peck on the cheek, as others won't stop until Chris does something. But Chris brushes her off for even thinking that way. Holly is upset by the rude behavior of Chris, and when they meet the next time, Holly says that he shouldn't have done what he did at the wedding house. Chris lets her know that he is aware of the rumors about them being together, and how Holly has a voice to speak up for herself and debunk those false rumors. When things couldn't get any more frustrating for her, Holly, along with her mother, finds out that Spencer doesn't want to run his late father's shop after the wedding. Spencer says that he doesn't feel right doing it and doesn't have that much interest in it, despite how much he loved his father. During dinner, Holly says that she should pursue her dream of traveling to different places once the wedding is over. The rest of her family encourages her to do so. Despite having an ambitious dream, Holly can't get to finance her travel to different exotic places. Chris suggests that Holly should set up a new marketing strategy for her business, which would increase sales and also help Holly in covering up the traveling expenses. Chris, who also has a love for photography, advises Holly to set up new pictures for her websites, which would bring in new customers. Both of them then spend the entire day taking photos of different people. Both Chris and Holly start to get along with each other nicely. That night, Angela has forgotten that she was supposed to work with Holly in preparing the invitation cards for the wedding, so Holly takes on the job herself. While she's working on the cards, Chris asks Holly what she would be doing once she's done traveling. Holly replies that she would resume taking care of the family business. Chris asks if that is what Holly actually wants for herself in life. Holly shares her point of view that there's nothing wrong with supporting your family, but Chris says that Holly would end up getting tired because she would be pursuing something she never intended to. This puts Holly in the thoughts of making changes to her career in the future. Holly informs her brother and mother that she won't be taking care of the job, as she wants to pursue a career of her own choice. Her mother supports Holly as she believes that her father would have wanted Holly and Spencer to make their own choices in their lives. The entire family spends their time setting up the Christmas tree, and Chris helps them with it while also enjoying the entire moment. While she's at her shop, Holly tells Chris about her past boyfriends and how she has never been able to find the right guy for herself. Holly asks Chris about her past relationships. Turns out, Chris was involved in a relationship with a woman, but the woman left him as she was never serious about their relationship. Ever since then, Chris has been building his career. Chris and Holly are making cookies, and while they do so, Holly asks why Chris never made photography his profession as he's good at it. Chris says that he never got a chance of doing it and never took it seriously. Holly says that he could work as a freelancer with photography being his specialty. Soon, the cookie preparation turns into a friendly fight, where Chris and Holly start throwing the cookie batter at each other. Before they could share a romantic moment, Angela comes into the kitchen. Angela wonders why Holly still hasn't given Chris a proper chance. Angela accuses Holly of stepping out of a relationship without playing her part properly. Angela advises her to at least give it a chance before Angela's wedding. Holly is trying to plan a surprise bachelorette party for Angela since Angela didn't ask for much, and the wedding is occurring on a small budget. Chris appreciates Holly for going out of her way and helping others most of the time. Holly's mother is loving the fact that Chris and Holly are finally getting to know each other. Chris's mother calls him, but Chris refuses to pick up the call. He explains to Holly that he hasn't been to Christmas at his home for the last 7 years, as he is not on good terms with his family. Holly advises that Chris should make things right before it turns into a complete mess, where Chris won't be able to see his family again. She asks Chris to text his mom and talk to her. Chris refuses to do so. Chris eventually texts his mom and wishes her Merry Christmas. Chris thanks Holly for lending him great advice, and he wants to repay Holly by taking her out for dinner later that night. Holly gets extremely excited. Soon, Chris also finds out that he has got his old job back. The entire preparations for the wedding are complete, and everyone is looking forward to the wedding tomorrow. Holly surprises Angela with a huge bachelorette party in a restaurant, and at the same time, Holly is on a date with Chris in the same restaurant. Angela seems to not be enjoying the party without Holly, who has been switching between the party and her date for the most part. Chris has no idea that Holly is also attending the bachelorette party, and Angela, too, is unaware that Holly is on a date. The entire thing goes upside down when both Angela and Chris find out what Holly has been up to. Angela leaves the restaurant distressed, and Chris does the same. Holly pleads to Chris that she did want to have a proper date but couldn't as the wedding is tomorrow, and the bachelorette party had to be done before the wedding. Holly informs Chris that she has scheduled an interview at a magazine company for the post of photographer for Chris. This infuriates Chris as he doesn't want anyone to interfere with his personal life. Holly apologizes to him as she just wanted to help Chris find a job he would love. Holly goes to meet Angela with hopes of fixing everything. Angela accuses Holly of making everything about her, and how Holly is doing preparations for the wedding according to her, and not Angela. She further adds that Holly is planning a wedding as if it was hers, and she didn't listen to Angela even once. Angela breaks down crying, saying that she didn't even want to wear her mother's wedding dress as she hates it. She didn't tell all of this to Holly as it would have broken her heart. Holly cries to her mother, saying that Angela was right about her. Her mother consoles her, stating that Holly sacrificed her life for her mother after the death of Holly's father. She says that Holly would have a beautiful life ahead of her. The next morning, Holly makes up to Angela by buying the expensive wedding dress that Angela desired, using her travel fund. Holly meets Chris and professes her likeness to him. But unfortunately, Chris tells her that he doesn't feel the same way, and would be leaving for home once the wedding is over. The wedding takes place perfectly. Chris meets Lillian and tells her that she doesn't have to be always right, when knowing which two people would be perfect for each other. Chris goes back to his old job, and Holly has sold her father's shop. One night, Holly's mother asks Holly to bring the cookie tray from the store. Holly is surprised at how her mother wants to go to the shop late at night, just for a cookie tray. When Holly goes to the store, she finds a note on the door that states how someone would express his feelings for her in terms of pictures. Holly follows beautiful Christmas lights that are decorated nearby the store with the pictures Chris took of her. She follows the lights and finds many trees decorated by those beautiful lights. Chris appears and informs Holly that he took the photography job and that he wants to be with Holly. Holly worries that their relationship would end up in a dispute, but Chris says that he has begun to see the world differently thanks to Holly. Both of them share a romantic kiss, and Holly thinks how Lillian was right about them.